Hi everyone. By now I've made a few videos which capture pretty much everything you need to know for entering data in SPSS. But here's a question I get asked quite often by you guys on YouTube. How do you code data when you've got open response questions? Well, everything you need to know are already in my set of videos. It's just knowing where to look. Let's look at an example. So suppose we've got this question. What's the most important quality you look for in a partner? And I've left a blank, so this is where the respondent can just write anything down. Well, why would I want to have an open response question? I'd have an open response question if I have pretty much no idea of what people out there are likely to write, or I might have an idea but I don't know the breadth of kind of responses they might have. Okay, so that's why I might then have an open response question. If I knew the types of responses I'd be getting most of the time, I could have checkboxes instead, because that way it's much easier. Well, there are pretty much two ways to go about this. One, since we don't know kind of the breadth of responses, well, we can gauge it by running a pilot study to help us to construct a list of responses with checkboxes. So say for the question I've given you, I don't really know what people, or I do, but I don't know kind of the variety of questions, answers I'm going to get. So say I kind of run a small pilot study. So I might interview like 20-30 people. Based on those 20 or 30 responses, I get an idea of the kind of common responses, and then I can do checkboxes. So imagine these are all checkboxes. So good looks, kind, has a sense of humor, intelligent, rich, and then I get a few crazy ones which are very few. So I just gather everything in other. Okay. Now, if you're not sure about in the real thing whether you've missed anything in other, there could be something missed out by your people in the pilot study, you might write if other, write it down. Okay, so if other, so what is it? Write it down, just in case that there are a lot of responses that are repeated, and then you want to kind of code that up in a separate category. For example, suppose in my pilot study I didn't pick up brave, and brave turned out to be another kind of thing that people looked for, quite a lot of them, then I wouldn't want brave in other category, I'd want it in its own category, if you see what I mean. Okay. The other thing I can do is just run the full survey, so interview, just hand out all my questionnaires and gather all the data, and then I will just code up all the main ones, and then all the unusual answers I can group them up into other. So that's just another way of going about, getting this kind of list. Alright, so that's it really. It's not really an SPSS question, it's any software you use, right? But since I'm talking to you as an SPSS person, this is kind of what you'd want to do. And then the coding I've shown you already on the previous videos, like what's the first one I made, data entry for questionnaires. Look at that one. The other one you might to look at is this one. If I change this question to what's the most, if I change it to, you might want to do this, if I change it to, instead of what's the most, list the 3 most, or X amount of most, then what do you do now? Well, this is an example of multiple response question, and I've made a video on that, so you want to look at that multiple response question. Others of you keep asking me the question, what about if you have questions within questions? That is also in my video, multiple response question. Okay. Alright, so I know it's a busy time for you, it's Easter time, and a lot of you are doing projects, so well, good luck with that.